Jets select Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner is a New York Jet!
Swaggy Sauce Gardner.
I love Sauce. I love his tape. I love his press technique. I love his confidence. He has everything you want to see in the position. And I think Robert Saleh and this scheme is perfect. It's a hand-in-glove fit for him, man.
Garrett Wilson.
It's Garrett Wilson! The New York Jets have just got two big-time playmakers!
I believe that Garrett Wilson is going to be the most impactful rookie receiver in this class. And I think we see Zach Wilson play like he did the last 6 games of the year, times 10, and have a phenomenal second season.
Wow, you think? Yeah! Let's Jermaine Johnson!
Breece Hall, running back, Iowa State.
Breece Hall, oh my God, they got him! They went offense. They went with the best running back in the draft. Jeremy Ruckert, oh my God! The Long Island native is a New York Jet!
J-E-T-S, Jet.
Let's go! Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? It's your boy Richie from Jets Media, and we're joined by the one and only Jake. It is going to be breaking down the Jets' crazy NFL draft, which was last week, and today is rookie minicamp. There's so much to get into. Jake, I appreciate you joining the show. How are you feeling today, my man?
Man, I was feeling good, Richie, but now I'm like even more hyped after watching that intro, man. I thought I had a cool intro. That was sick, man. I'm pumped. Let's go.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I cut up the hype video I made for my channel and compiled it into a little intro to get Jets fans ready to run through a brick wall. It's a great time to be a Jets fan right now. We got a lot of things to get into. We finally saw the rookie jerseys being announced this morning. And yes, hold your horses, guys. It is subject to change. It's not guaranteed that these will be the jersey numbers when week 1 rolls around, because there are a lot of guys on this roster. And I know some people on looking at these Jets rookie numbers are like, why did nobody pick a single digit? Well, the truth is there's no single digits available at all. So let's start off with that, because I know Jets fans are obsessed with rookie jersey numbers, and I am as well. So Jake, what's your reaction to the rookie minicamp numbers? And again, they are subject to change. So what's your thoughts about these numbers?
Yeah, that's kind of my reaction. Like, all right, it's cool to see some numbers here, but I don't know if Sauce Gardner's wearing 20 when we're getting to week 1 of the 2022 season. I think Garrett Wilson might actually wear 17, though. He might want the G17 thing going. He posted about it on his Instagram. So 17 seems like it could be a Garrett Wilson number. Breece Hall needs a better looking number, though, than 35. Like, that's like Alvin Kamara wearing number 41. Doesn't look good. Hall's going to be a stud. And we need a better number. Now, he might like 35 because, he was drafted, I guess, in that range. I don't know. He's picked 36, though, so that doesn't make any sense. I got no idea. I'm good with it, though, man. Let's just hope these guys stay healthy, get on the field, and help this team win some games.
Exactly. I love jersey numbers. I was looking forward to it, but at the end of the day, they don't really mean that much. All we need them to do is be healthy on the field and produce and live up to the hype that the entire NFL world is hyping up this Jets draft class. So that's what I want to start off with you, Jake. Jets fans, we are so pumped up about what Joe Douglas did with this 2022 draft class. But it's not only us. It's not only Jets fans. It's the NFL world. It's ESPN. It's NFL Network. It's former players. It's everybody in the NFL world is praising the Jets. Now, as a Jets fan myself, and I know you are feeling probably the same exact way, we're not used to this. It's usually the complete opposite. So what do you have to say to Jets fans for us to react to the NFL media just praising the New York Jets?
Yeah, I think you should embrace it. I think if you're a Jet fan, you should enjoy it. It doesn't mean you win the Super Bowl. It doesn't mean the team's going to be a playoff team next year. But the reality is they've earned the praise. Joe Douglas has earned the praise. He has the respect from his peers in the draft community. And certainly, he has earned the respect from those that cover the draft for a living. I mean, Daniel Jeremiah and Joe Douglas are really good friends. Todd McShay and Joe Douglas were roommates in college together at Richmond. So you would expect it from those guys, but you're seeing it from really everyone. And how could you not praise them? Look what they did. They drafted arguably the number 1 corner, the number 1 receiver, and one of the best edge guys they got in the late first round. Plus, they got the best running back. They got maybe the second best or first best tight end in the class, depending on who you talk to. So there's no reason to not praise the Jets. Obviously, looking ahead to the season, it's going to come down to Robert Saleh and Zach Wilson and these guys developing and taking a big step in year 2 together. But if you're a Jet fan, you should enjoy this, man, because this franchise has been so beaten down the last 11 years, missing the playoffs. You should enjoy the praise that the team is getting, because if you can't enjoy it now, when are you going to be able to enjoy, the opportunity to feel good about your football team in the offseason?
Very well said, Jake. I love everything you said there, because Jets fans are not used to this. Soak it all in. Understand that this needed to happen before the Jets actually start winning football games when it matters the most. We're not just going to all of a sudden turn the ship around without doing what we need to do in the offseason by hitting on draft picks, by doing great in free agency. So this is where it begins. I know that some fans are like, oh, we always win the offseason. Well, in reality, we don't. Now it feels real, because without winning the offseason, without getting an A-plus draft grade, we're not going to be able to transition it to long-term success. Joe Douglas came here 3 years ago with the vision to build this thing properly through the draft. He just finished his 3rd draft class here with the New York Jets, and it was an absolute home run. I'm excited to break it all down with you in today's show, Jake. But guys, if you're just tuning into the show, make sure you hit that like button if you're enjoying the show and you want to see Jake on here more often. He's doing great things. And please, if you're not subscribed to my guy Jake, that is down below in the description. But if you're a Jets fan, I'm assuming you are already aware of what Jake is doing down there on his channel. But please, if you are not, help me out and get my guy Jake some more subscribers. So let's get right into the draft class, Jake. So you really hit it on the nail when you were breaking down the NFL, praising them. So let's go pick by pick. Let's start off with the 4th overall selection, right? Did you expect Sauce to be the pick? Because there was a lot of rumors, a lot of buzz, like 24, 48 hours before the draft, that Sauce was going to be the pick at number 4. So what was your initial reaction to Sauce being the pick, and what do you expect from him as a rookie and beyond?
So I was surprised, just because I never really bought into them using a top 5 pick on a corner. But, in real time, I didn't love it at first, not because I don't love Sauce. He's always been my number 1 ranked corner. I just wanted the pass rusher. I wanted Kayvon Thibodeau, because I never thought it'd be possible for them to still end up with Jermaine Johnson if they went with a receiver at 10. I mean, I thought it'd be at 10, Johnson or Wilson. They end up with both. So I love the Sauce pick because of, what it represents, though. I mean, you got that Richard Sherman type player for Robert Saleh to coach up like what he had when he was with the Seahawks. It's crazy how it played out. I think Sauce Gardner comes in and he's going to be one of their best defensive players right away. I think he's a special talent. I think he's going to have a good rookie year, but we're really going to see this guy ascend to an all-pro level by year 2, year 3. Usually, corner in the NFL, there's some growing pains, so be wary of that, Jet fans. Sauce probably will allow a touchdown at some point this year after he didn't do it in college, but I think he's going to be a really good pro. And look, if you're taking a corner with the number 4 pick in the draft, the expectation is this guy is going to be one of the best players in the league at his position. And the expectation is this guy's going to be a multi-time Pro Bowler. And I have no reason to think he's not going to end up being that guy.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner was one of my favorite prospects months and months ago, even during the college season. And my mindset with him was like, wow, he's one of my favorite corners to come out of the draft in a while. It'd be sick if the Jets got him, but they're not going to draft Sauce Gardner. They prioritize the trenches. Joe Douglas and Saleh always talk about building it through the trenches. There's no way they're going to sacrifice a premier pick on that, even though I would like them to, but they actually did with Sauce Gardner. And it's funny that you mentioned, you expect him to go edge. And then we go to pick number 10, and it's Garrett Wilson. My thought process when the Jets were on the clock at number 10 was it's either going to be Garrett Wilson or Jermaine Johnson.
Yep.
And hey, it was Garrett, but we still got our guy Jermaine, which we'll get into later. So what was your thoughts about the Jets getting their big-time playmaker in the draft and also deciding to not trade for a veteran receiver like all the rumors has been talking about? They decided to build this thing through the draft and add Garrett Wilson at number 10.
Yeah, look, I wanted Deebo Samuel. I would have been okay if they made the move and acquired him, but the reality is that they were going to take a receiver in the class. I didn't want Jamison Williams because I don't want a guy that's not playing till November who doesn't have the chance to develop chemistry with Zach Wilson all summer long. I didn't think it made sense for where the Jets want to go this year. And Drake London got picked already. So I was like, perfect. Garrett Wilson's been my number 1 guy throughout. Really, post-combine, he became my number 1 wide receiver. I still like Treylon Burks and felt like if they took a receiver at 10 or a pass rusher at 10, maybe they would trade up for a wide receiver, and certainly Burks or someone of that ilk could have been in play. But look, I love Garrett Wilson. I love the fact that he plays bigger than his size, and it's not like he's a small receiver. And I just think his speed and explosiveness is what this team needs. Opposite Elijah Moore, you got Corey Davis, who's your possession receiver. Wilson and Moore could be your splash play guys that could play inside and outside. I love the pick. This guy's going to come in and right away be an impactful player, and I can't wait to see the Wilson connection that every Jet fan is giddy thinking about in early May.
Yeah, the Wilson to Wilson connection is going to be a lot of fun. It's really cool to see Joe Douglas in 3 years in the draft. His first wide receiver selection in the draft was Denzel Mims. His second was Elijah Moore, and now it's Garrett Wilson. So you can see that he's prioritizing that position, and Denzel was a second-round pick. Elijah Moore was a second-round pick. Garrett Wilson's a first-round pick. So it's obvious that Joe Douglas prioritizes building this wide receiver position through the draft, and I'm super excited to see what Garrett Wilson can do. Now, what was your thoughts when Wilson was the pick? Because me personally, I was really pumped up, but then another side of me was like, wow. We go playmaker and playmaker, no players in the trenches, no edge rusher. What are we going to do? Is there a player that they like in the second round? Are they going to trade back into the first round? And then we all found out what happened. So what was your reaction when you figured out that the Jets are not getting a player in the trenches? And then what was your reaction when they actually did get their player in the trenches and trading up for getting their guy at Jermaine Johnson?
Oh man, I was ecstatic. Now I thought the trade up was in play the whole time. That was one of my big predictions, that the Jets were going to come away with 3 players in the first round. So I wasn't surprised they traded up. I was flabbergasted it was Jermaine Johnson. I mean, look, I covered the Texans for a living down here in Houston for ESPN, and every time, really after the Jets pick, I'm like, well, this makes perfect sense for Jermaine Johnson. The next 15 or so picks, I'm like, Jermaine Johnson's got to go here. And when you had all these teams pass on him, I'm thinking they got to trade up and get him. Now, Linderbaum was still there too, and I thought, all right, well, maybe they could trade up for him. But then he goes to pick before the Titans at 26, and I'm like, all right, if they're coming up, it's got to be for Johnson. So when they made the trade up, I knew it had to be for Jermaine. And then when they actually took him, I mean, I was at the draft, so I was going crazy in the media room. I was pumped, man. That was, to me, the best value pick of any team in the first round.
And yeah, you just mentioned you were at the draft, and I want to get your thoughts about that. Like, what was the experience like? Who were some prospects that you interviewed? I saw that you were talking to some players at the podium. What was that like being in Vegas and covering, I'm sure you were covering the Texans and the Jets. So what was that like for you over there?
Yeah, it was awesome, man, because, the team I covered for my day job had 2 picks in the top 13. Thank you, Texans, by the way, for taking Derek Stingley. And then it was awesome just to get the opportunity to go live after every Jets pick on the YouTube channel. So it was fantastic. The atmosphere in Vegas was insane. It was like a giant football convention. Everywhere you go, people are wearing their respective jerseys. I'm wearing my Jets gear when I wasn't working all throughout Vegas on the strip, and people are coming up to me telling me how great the Jets did in the draft. And that was just it was a surreal feeling, man. It was awesome. But going to the press conferences was really cool. I got to go to the Sauce press conference, and Jermaine and Garrett Wilson. I got to go to the Breece Hall one the next day and ask him some questions, which was awesome. So it was a blast, man. Definitely recommend any fan out there that's never been to the draft to put it on their bucket list, because it's fantastic.
And that's awesome that not only are the NFL media praising the Jets draft, but we have fan bases around the league that's praising the Jets draft. Like you said, what type of fans were coming up to you? What were they saying? The Jets has killed the draft after round number 1?
Dude, all the fans, man. It didn't matter if I was playing blackjack or sitting down at the craps table. People were like, the Jets, because I was wearing my Jet hat everywhere. And then the last day I was out there, I put on the Elijah Moore number 8 jersey, and I was feeling good. That same jersey you got behind you, Richie, I was wearing that all day in Vegas last Saturday. And, man, it felt good to be a Jet fan, something you're not always able to say.
Right? We are the talk of the league all of a sudden, and it feels damn good. So let's get into probably one of my favorite picks of this entire draft class. And you said you asked him a couple questions. So we found out that Joe Douglas actually tried to trade back into the first round for the 4th time to get a 4th pick, and that would have been Breece Hall. But it's okay because he stays pat in round 2. He's not able to trade up into the first round. He decides to trade up ahead of the Texans, and I'm sure that you would know that the Texans were high on Hall. They burn a 5th round pick, and they get the best running back in the draft. Do you think it was smart for the Jets to invest a premier high 2nd round pick in a player like Breece Hall?
1,000%. This was my favorite pick they made because of what it represents. They had a good running back. Michael Carter's a good player. Tevin Coleman still showed last year he's got something left in the tank. But for them to be all in on helping Zach Wilson, you got him Breece Hall? I mean, come on, man. You added the number 1 running back in this class. Breece Hall goes in the first round if this draft was held even 2 years ago. But the way the running back position has been devalued, it's the only reason why he wasn't a first-round pick. To get him to complement now Michael Carter, to set up play action for Zach Wilson, to give you a chance to really run the Niners offense that the Jets are trying to copy. I mean, I love this pick. This guy could come in and legit, if you told me he wins Rookie of the Year, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's that special of a talent. I didn't think they'd do it. So I never, allowed myself all offseason to think they would make this type of move. I'm so glad they did, though. I was anti-running back in round 1, but I love it in round 2. And they knew they needed to get in front of Houston because I'm telling you, I have it on the record for people I trust inside the Texans building. that was the pick at 37. So good job by Douglas realizing that, making that move, going up and getting the best running back in the class. I mean, you look at this offense, Richie. You got 2 legit running backs in Hall and Carter. I think you got 4 legit wide receivers now. You got 3 legit tight ends. You have improvements on the offensive line with Becton coming back, and you signed a Pro Bowler in Tomlinson. This offense has a chance to be the most talented offense the Jets have had in probably about a decade. It's going to come down to Zach Wilson, as we all know, but, I mean, how could you not love what they did with Breece Hall here, adding him to that running back room?
Yeah, so as Jake breaks down the offense, here it is on paper going into training camp. Obviously, they're subject to change. This is not guaranteed of who's number 1 on the position chart or the depth chart or not. But, Jake, how crazy is the depth? Because even after the signing yesterday, which I want to get into later in Nate Herbig, the Jets on paper, even the starting 5 at offensive line, but the best part about this offense, in my opinion, is the depth. Because unfortunately, we all know that the Jets suffer with injuries. So what's your thoughts about not only the talent on offense, but the quality depth that they have in case they do suffer some injuries this year?
Yeah, it's the most depth they've had probably since 2015, but it's top heavy in 2015. So you probably got to go back to 2010, 2011, the last time this football team had a really good roster. And obviously 2010, they go to the championship game and they go 11-5. That was a Super Bowl team if they show up in the first half in Pittsburgh. We don't need to revisit that. Sorry for the painful memories, Jet fans, but this team's got depth, man. Look, we all know it's going to come down to Zach Wilson, and I'm sure we'll talk about him here as we go. But this team has legit 4 wide receivers, legit 3 tight ends, legit 3 running backs. And you feel good about the quarterback room too. I think Joe Flacco is probably one of the best backups you can get in the NFL at this stage. And Mike White proved he knows the offense, man. So you feel good about the depth they have on this team. So let's hope they stay healthy because, depth's great till you got to start playing a lot of it. So you'd like to have, the starters be the starters and stay healthy throughout the course of the season.
Now, what's your thoughts about the depth on this side of the ball? So the New York Jets got a lot of new acquisitions in the offseason through free agency and the draft. DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, the 2 cornerbacks. It feels weird to see Bryce Hall potentially being a backup because I love Bryce Hall, but now he might be the one as a backup, but we'll see what happens there. So what's your thoughts? I think the 2 positions that we all as Jets fans know is it's the weakest link of the entire team is safety and linebacker. So what's your thoughts about the defense heading into the season, your expectations for them?
Most defensive line depth I could ever remember the Jets having. I mean, if Carl Lawson's healthy and you put him opposite Jermaine Johnson with Q and JFM playing their natural positions at DT up the middle, you got Rankins, Vinny Curry, who you could rotate, Bryce Hupp in situational pass rush spots, and obviously Jacob Martin, I think Jet fans, might be one of the more underrated moves they made all offseason. I watched him a lot with the Texans, and he's a good player, good situational third down rusher. They have depth there, man. So I feel really good about the defensive line because as Salah says, you want your secondary to be better, get a pass rush. I think they will have a pass rush. And I mean, Bryce Hall's a backup. Come on, man. That's really good. Now they are thin at linebacker. They are thin at safety, but I think the defensive line and the corner position could help mask some of the issues there. Whitehead at safety is going to be a huge help. Let's hope LaMarcus Joyner could stay healthy and be an effective player. But on paper, this defense, I mean, it can't be any worse. They were dead last in the NFL last year. But Richie, on paper, this defense should be able to be, to me, at the minimum, a top 15 unit in the NFL.
Yeah, and we also have to remember, not only are we adding the players that we got in free agency this year and the draft this year, but we're hopefully adding Carl Lawson, Vinny Curry, LaMarcus Joyner, 3 key guys that was supposed to be with this New York Jets defense last year that will be added on to the defense this year. So hopefully we go from 32 into the top 20 minimum, in my opinion. Robert Saleh and this defensive scheme really needs to thrive, and it's all about getting to the quarterback. And I feel like Sauce Gardner as a rookie and DJ Reed coming in as a veteran corner on the outside, with Michael Carter the second being that slot in year number 2. The secondary is low-key. Well, the cornerbacks, not really the safety, is one of my favorite positions in this entire team in terms of the youth and the depth, and I'm really excited to see what they do in year number 2 under Robert Saleh. Let's get back into the draft. So we skipped over this player right here, who we all know is the Long Island native. You and I both grew up here. Lindenhurst, Long Island, represent. What was your thoughts when the New York Jets actually was able to get this player? Because he was a dream of mine just because of the story, not even his play on the field. What's your thoughts about Jeremy Ruckert as a New York Jet in the 3rd round?
I've been following this kid's career for years, as a Long Island guy like you, Richie. So the fact that he's a Jet, It's unbelievable. And by the way, his backyard, the most prototypical Long Island backyard I've ever seen. We've all been in that backyard. If you're from Long Island, we've all seen that type of backyard. But I mean, I love it, man. I'm trying to get his dad on my YouTube show because his dad is absolutely electric. But I love Ruckert, man. I think this guy is a physical specimen. He's an athlete. I mean, this guy would have to block like Chase Young in practice in college and then have to face Aiden Hutchinson as well. I mean, this guy's battle tested, comes from a big program. He doesn't drop passes. I think he's a guy that eventually could be the tight end one on this team. How do you not love this story, though? I mean, this guy is going to have a chance to, I think, contribute right away. If there's someone that does get hurt, like Uzama, who does have an injury history, you can plug Ruckert in and feel really good about it. So I love it, man. Just double down on helping Zach Wilson. That's what it's all about. Joe Douglas knows he's defined by what Zach Wilson turns into, as that's the pick he used the second overall pick on. And, you know, Ruckert's going to help Zach Wilson. And that's why I love this pick so much.
Yeah, not only did he have such a Long Island backyard, but I love following him on Instagram now. He's posting pictures of him in his basement with his buddies, putting up some bench press. It's just like so awesome to see just him training in his own basement on Long Island. It's literally like one of us. I mean, tell me you did not have a dream when you were like 7 years old or something, throwing a football in your yard, just you catch a touchdown, you just envision yourself with the New York Jets. Like Ruckert is living every single Jets fan's dream, and I absolutely love everything about it. Jeremy Ruckert, probably one of my favorite picks in this entire draft class just because of that. So to recap the draft, let's talk about these next two players, and Max Mitchell and Michael Clemens. They rounded out with the two trench players, one on the offensive side of the ball and one on the defensive side of the ball. So what's your thoughts about getting Max Mitchell and Michael Clemens in the fourth round to round out this draft?
So I think Mitchell will play, as a swing tackle year one on this team. He's got to be better than Chuma Edoga, right? I mean, anyone that Mike McCagnon picked, you just assume is terrible. So I'm going to go with Mitchell being a guy that I think could help this team right away. And then I also think, if you look at what Clemens can bring to the table, he's an older player, so I think maybe he could transition and kind of be a third down situational rusher right away for this team. I had Colt Thompson on my show earlier today, Richie. He covered A&M a lot, so he says Clemens is a sneaky value pick. I like him. Obviously, this is a guy that I think if Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas sign off on, we got to have some faith that they pick the right guys. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I feel like I said this multiple times in my channel, but if there was one player that I feel like Joe Douglas allowed Robert Saleh to turn the card in and allow him to make the selection, it's Michael Clemens, because he just screams like a Robert Saleh, violent edge rusher, comes off the edge, big man. You see him right now, rookie minicamp, excuse me. He looks so big and long. He kind of looks like an offensive tackle playing the edge rusher position, and he's freakishly athletic. Hopefully he can develop and add to that crazy rotation that we have on that defensive line. So before we get into the next topic, which is the year two players, let's just talk about this rookie class as a whole and your grade. Could they possibly have done anything better, what they got? And what's your thoughts about this 2022 draft class as a whole and your expectations from them in year number one? And who do you think is going to have the biggest impact?
So biggest impact, I think, is going to be Breece Hall. I think he's going to be, one of the better running backs in the NFL from year one. That's the thing with running backs. They hit the ground running right away. You draft a running back, they're in their prime. You take a running back, especially a running back in the second round, let's point to James Conner or Jonathan Taylor or some of the other second-round backs Conner might have been a third-round pick now that I think about it. But you get the point. Look at the NFL's leading rushers from a year ago. I think out of the top 5, 3 or 4 of the players were second- or third-round picks. So I expect Breece Hall to hit the ground running right away. And I think, honestly, all these guys have a chance to contribute. But I think Breece Hall will have the biggest impact from year one. And look, if I'm giving a grade, it's an A. It's an A or an A+. There's nothing that I could really nitpick here. I mean, I guess I could say I would have preferred maybe a linebacker or, a safety with one of the picks in the 4th round. All right, but they got the number 1 corner on my board, the number 1 receiver on my board, the number 1 running back on my board, and they got arguably the 2nd or 3rd best pass rusher in the late 1st round. I'm not going to, when the Jets suck, I'll tell you they suck, Richie. When they do something great, I'm going to tell you they did something great. I thought this was an unbelievable draft, so it's an A or an A+.
It's just surreal. It really is. Every time we recap it and we see the players that we got, it's just like, wow, how did Joe Douglas do this? And other fan bases looking at the Jets thinking, wow, I wish I had that draft class. But hey, people forget, we did ace this draft but we did have a pretty darn good draft class last year in 2021. It might not have been like an A++ like it's been this year, but we got some quality players, and obviously it all hinges on the quarterback play of Zach Wilson. But we trade up and get Alijah Vera-Tucker, and we're excited to see what he can do in year number 2. We get Elijah Moore in the beginning of that second round. We get Michael Carter in round number 4, all starters, and then we get Michael Carter II, who I think is going to be the starting slot cornerback for this team. Brennan Eccles providing depth. So what's your thoughts? And before we get into your thoughts about the sophomores, let's get into this video that I loved of the Jets sophomores at OTAs this week, hyping them up, welcoming the rookies to the team.
Mike Carter here. Here with the sophomore squad. Yes, sir. Hey, man, we just want to let y'all know, man, work hard. We here. If you work hard, the hard work will pay off. Come on. Big time. Hey, welcome to the fam. Hey, man, say what up. Yeah, what up, gang? Say what up. Yes, welcome to the fam, baby. Lots of touch. There's a lot of touchdowns and interceptions and sacks in this video. That's squad. Whoa.
So that is sophomores. The chemistry is through the roof, Jake. That's the best part about that class, if I had to say. So what's your expectations from year number 2 from all these players, and who do you think is going to be the brightest spot?
Yeah, look, I think AVT is going to be a Pro Bowler this year. I think he was really, really good as a rookie. He's unbelievable. Elijah Moore is going to pop for over 1,000 yards this year as well. If they got to stay healthy. We know about the injuries last year that this team suffered. I mean, I'll tell you what, as good as this year's draft class is for the Jets, if Zach Wilson turns into a star like the Jets think he will be, being picked number 2, that's probably the best draft class in the history of the team because of the positional value of a franchise quarterback. This year has a chance to be just as good, though. It really does. If the 3 guys they took in round 1 and Breece Hall and Ruckert turn into something. So I'm really excited about what they did last year, obviously, and of course what they did last week. But as far as the year 2 players, I mean, I could argue any of those guys have a chance to really pop in year 2. I think Zach Wilson certainly could be in this conversation, depending on your thoughts on him. But Moore and AVT feel like the safest bets. I would say Carter as well, but I think Breece Hall is going to get a lot of touches. So Carter's not going to have maybe as much of an impact as the other 2 guys I just mentioned. So I probably, if I had to pick one, though, I'd go AVT because, I mean, this guy just to me is a stud. We'll see how he does transitioning from left guard to right guard. He's such a good athlete. I don't think it's going to be a problem. So I'm ready to watch him really take over on that offensive line. I think by the end of the year, we might be saying the Jets have the best guards in the NFL.
And that's the best part about this offensive line. I know that there's a question mark that people have at tackle just because of the health of Becton, but the guard spot is going to be the most important piece with getting a Pro Bowler Lincoln Tomlinson in year 2 of Alijah Vera-Tucker. This run game is going to be crazy, especially with Breece Hall. So now getting back into the 2021 draft class, Jake, you mentioned all 4 of the offensive players in Zach Wilson, AVT, Elijah, and Michael Carter. Which players of the 6 defensive guys that we got? Obviously, I think the only one that will be starting is Michael Carter II. But as we know, and we both said it, the linebacker room is thin. But we do have 2 linebackers entering year number 2 in Jamie Sherwood and Hamza Nasruddin. Jamie Sherwood did rupture his Achilles last year after he was getting a lot of playing time, so we cannot really get a big evaluation of him. Hamza Nasruddin was really more of a special teams guy, even though he did sub in on some packages. So do you expect anything from those 2 guys in year number 2? Do you think that those are 2 players that they're trying to develop for the long term, and they really feel like those guys are pieces for the future, which is why they did not draft a linebacker this year?
Yeah, no doubt, Rich. I think you nailed it with that last point. I think they believe in those guys. Now, we'll find out. I mean, we'll find out. But Robert Saleh doesn't believe in spending a ton of money on linebackers. Neither does really Joe Douglas, if you look at his history and the organizations he was with before he got to New York. They like Sherwood, and they do like Nasruddin. The key is health. We didn't get to see him play much last year because of injuries. I think they're higher on Quincy Williams than some Jet fans are. And look, C.J. Mosley's still a beast. So I think obviously linebacker could be a need next year in the draft. They could look for a linebacker potentially. But I'll say this. I do think the Jets are higher on the linebackers they have in place than probably most people realize.
And what's your thoughts about Michael Carter II? Because I might be getting a little ahead of myself, but I feel like he is one of the most underrated pieces to this entire Jets defense, because as a rookie last year, he was all over the place. I'll never forget in week number 1 against the Carolina Panthers. I was in Carolina for that game, and it was the first drive of the game, and it was 3rd and 2. It was a slot fade route. Michael Carter II was matched up against, I think, Terrence Marshall. It was a slot fade to the sideline. Sam Darnold threw up a good ball, and Michael Carter II went up with a beautiful pass deflection. I was sitting there, right there, and I was like, wow, that was Beautiful. Is Michael Carter II a really good player or what? And then for the rest of his rookie season, he sacks Tom Brady. He was making plays after plays. Do you think he has a chance to really establish himself as one of the top slot corners in terms of being a young player for the future for this Jets team?
Yeah, they like him. And honestly, Douglas has had a lot of success with day 3 corners. Like Bryce Hall was his pick. Echols was a pick. Carter obviously was a pick. He's probably going to be the starting nickel corner if I had to guess. So yeah, there's no doubt they like Michael Carter. I like both Michael Carters they picked. Let's hope they got it right with both the Wilsons that they picked now the last 2 years. And you got 2 Williams on this team. You got 2 Halls on this team now. It's crazy what you got with the last names on the Jets. But as far as Carter, yeah, Michael Carter I think is going to be a starter and someone that could be one of the more underrated players on this defense throughout the course of next season.
And now we touched on him a little bit, but the most important player on this entire team and from this draft class is Zach Wilson. So I want to get your thoughts about your expectations from him going into year number 2. In my opinion, I feel like with the weapons surrounding him and the protection that we got and continuity going into year number 2, he doesn't have to be elite or take that Justin Herbert style leap in order for this Jets team to be successful. I feel like he just needs to be a serviceable quarterback. And at the end of the year, we can all say with a straight face that he's a good quarterback. He's a starting quarterback in this league. He's not a bust. We're not going to be replacing him. And he still has that potential that he's grooming himself and potentially could break out in year number 3. So what's your expectations from Zach Wilson in year number 2? What do you want to see him improve on? And do you think that he could be the guy for this Jets team in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Zach Wilson has a chance to be a franchise quarterback. I've never wavered in that belief, and the way he played down the stretch only left me feeling really encouraged about his development. And obviously, if the Jets got him some help, which they now have done, and the continuity now in year 2, I think he takes a big step forward. No one's saying he's got to be Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Justin Herbert, but he has to go out there. He's got to throw over 20 touchdowns. He's got to continue to limit the turnovers. He did such a great job of that down the stretch, something that Darnold and Geno and all these guys could never do. He cleaned that up. That is a huge step that makes you feel really good about him. I love the continuity with LaFleur coming back in year 2 in this system. So, look, I think Zach Wilson, he doesn't need to be the MVP of the league, but he does need to be a guy that could be a game manager in year 2, not lose them games. And when the opportunity's there, win them some games, right? Play well in the fourth quarter, not turn the ball over once again. Have a couple of games where he does throw for over 300 yards. I think all that's possible. I really believe that. So, stat line, I think you want to see Zach Wilson throw over 20 touchdowns and have less than 10 interceptions. And if he does that with the Jets' ability to run the ball and play much better defense, you feel like this team's going to be in a lot of games and have a chance to be, as Joe Douglas said they need to be doing, play meaningful games into the month of December.
And that was my next question for you, is your expectations for this entire team going into this season in terms of wins and losses, because we're coming off a bad season last year, but at the same time, it was kind of accepted. Rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, rookie offensive coordinator, injuries galore all over the team. So we kind of were like, okay, this is the year for growth. Now, when it comes to this season, you're number 2 with Robert Saleh and you're number 2 with Zach Wilson. What is your expectations by the end of the season? You're satisfied and you have a smile on your face and you're not disappointed, where number 1, you think Robert Saleh is the head coach for this team for the future, and number 2, Zach Wilson is the guy for the future as well.
Yeah, look, the win total, is subjective. It depends on a lot of factors. They can't be blown out in games. Like, you can't have the 54-0, whatever it was, against the Patriots happen again. This team's got to play way more competitive games. And they got to, to me, win at least 7 games this year. I don't think that's asking for that much. You got to win some games in your division, beat Miami once, beat New England at least once, beat the Jaguars, beat the Bears, beat the Lions. All of a sudden, that you're a 6-win team. Last year, the Jets picked up wins against Cincinnati and Tennessee. No one saw that coming. Find a way to win a couple of those games no one thinks you can win, and all of a sudden you're a 7 to 8 win football team. And depending on the leap Zach Wilson takes, then you're talking about a team that maybe could have a winning record for the first time since 2015. It's going to depend on Zach, but this team should be infinitely more competitive in their losses, and they should find a way to win at least a minimum of 7 games this year. That's the bar. If they win less than 7 games, I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. I think 7 games is a perfect baseline for the Jets to look at, and I'm pretty sure at Vegas they're at 5.5 wins. So are you gonna bet that over, Jake, or what?
Already did last week in Vegas. Already in.
You already did. Jake is already betting 5.5 over wins for the New York Jets. Absolutely love it. So, guys, before we end off the stream, we're going to open this up to a Jets Q&A so you guys can ask Jake and I any questions you have regarding the New York Jets before we get out of here. Love having Jake on the channel. And also, make sure you guys hit that like button if you're enjoying and you want to see Jake on the channel more often in the future. And, 78 likes with 200 people watching. Smash that like button as the great man will hit it. Say it. Hit it! Middleton, baby. Shout out to that guy. Absolute goat. So let's get to over 100 likes if you guys are enjoying the show. And as we get the questions coming in, Jake, did you see on the Rich Eisen show, he interviewed Joe Douglas, and Jeremy Ruckert went up to Joe Douglas and Ron Middleton during the Senior Bowl. And he said to them, hey, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm so happy that you guys are coaching the Senior Bowl because I'm from New York and I grew up a Jets fan, and I just think it's so cool that you guys are here coaching us. And then Joe Douglas is like, yeah, we know Jeremy. We know Jeremy. Tell me that's not the most Long Island thing.
No, it was awesome, man. I listened to that the other day. Rich did a great job with the interview, and that was so cool, man. I mean, you said it earlier, Richie. He's literally living every Long Island kid's dream that grew up rooting for the Jets. I mean, he went to Hofstra growing up. Obviously his dad, I think, was the season ticket holder. I mean, it's surreal, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, when I heard Rich Eisen ask Joe Douglas that, and Douglas told that story, I was laughing because I'm like, wow, if I was in that situation, I would do the same exact thing.
Exactly. Yeah, we all would.
I would do the same exact thing. So the first question comes in from Frankie. He says, Jake, why are we getting hate for drafting Hall in round 2?
There's one bozo from PFF, I think, that was like saying it wasn't a good. I don't know. Who cares? Who cares? One bozo out of the a million people saying the Jets did great. Don't let it bother you.
Yeah, that guy had the craziest take I've ever heard.
They should draft Malik Willis. Yeah. That's what that guy's take was. So we're good.
Draft Malik Willis. Good point. Good point. So we're getting into the chat again, guys. We're opening this up to a Jets Q&A, so you guys can ask Jake and I any questions you have regarding the New York Jets. Remember, super chats are first. You get to skip the line if you get in a super chat. And the first one comes in from Charles. Charles says, Richie and Jake, where do you think the Jets defense will rank this season? Well, I did hear Jake say he expected to be top 15. So you do want to elaborate on how the Jets could potentially get to 15th?
Yeah, look, I think if Carl Lawson is healthy and he's the edge rusher they thought they were signing last year, and Jermaine Johnson comes in and you have the defensive line as what it is, year 2 in this system, I feel like the Jets could be a defense that's top 15. I think they could get, I think the floor should be 20 and the ceiling is probably 15. I think it's a fair expectation year 1, given the amount of, young players they're still going to be relying on in this defense, but they clearly improved, man. They signed a starting safety, a starting corner. They drafted Sauce Gardner. They drafted Jermaine Johnson. They're getting Lawson back. I mean, this is a team that should be way better. They can't be any worse, as we all know, but year 2 in the system, they get some injury luck on their side. This could be a defense that I think could be a top 15 unit.
I seriously think the only thing that will hold back this defense is the injury bug. If we're healthy and we have a decently healthy season like most good teams do, I don't know why it's always the Jets, then there's no reason why this Jets defense should not be way drastically improved with Robert Saleh being a defensive-minded head coach, with the returning of Carl Lawson, Vinny Curry, LaMarcus Joyner, with the additions of Jordan Whitehead, DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner. I mean, on paper, this Jets defense does not look that bad, especially where it matters the most, which is in the trenches on the defensive line. You got to get to the quarterback if you want this scheme to work, and I have all the confidence in the world for Robert Saleh to unlock that potential. Hennessy, yo, Richie, that shirt is fire. I appreciate that. I got this actually from Jets training camp last year. I saw it and I was like, you know what? I want to feel like a coach, because I don't know if you guys know, but the coaches wear this type of stuff. So I was like, hey, I want to cop this and feel like I'm a Jets coach. I'm all kidding. That's not why I got it, but I do feel like one when I wear it, because that's what they wear on the sidelines. So getting into the chat again, guys, any questions you guys have for Jake and I before we wrap up the show will be appreciated. Adrian says, only problem with Hall round 2 is no linebacker. Other than that, it's an amazing pick. Just got to address linebacker somehow before the season starts. Now, my take on this is, if you're going to sacrifice linebacker depth for building around your quarterback, sign me up. I think it's way more important to surround Zach Wilson with weapons, not just weapons, but potentially great/elite weapons, than getting linebacker depth. That's how I see it. What's your thoughts about that, Jake?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And plus, I would say they like their linebackers more than we do. We didn't see Sherwood or Nasruddin play much last year. They were hurt. They like those guys. Joe Douglas drafted them. last year's draft was pretty good too, right, Jet fans? So those are two pieces you're adding to this team that they think year two in the system, even though they didn't play, they know the system. They feel like those two guys are going to come in and contribute, be big players in this defense year two with Salah.
He asked, do you think there's more pressure on Salah or Wilson this year? Jake, what's your thoughts?
I think it's Zach Wilson. I mean, this team has eliminated the quote-unquote excuses that Sam Darnold had for 3 years, lack of weapons, protection. I mean, barring just the injury bug being absurd, Zach Wilson should take a significant leap this year. So there's pressure on him to do it, but I'm not really worried about that. Like, I think Zach Wilson will be an effective quarterback this year. But I would say it's more on Wilson than Salah, because Salah can't play quarterback for this team. The defense for Salah better be better, and it will be. But Zach Wilson was picked second in the draft. He's got to take a step.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's all on Zach Wilson. The pressure has never been more on a quarterback in a good way, right? The pressure used to be like, oh, we need Sam or Gino or whoever the quarterback was to put the team on his back, that type of pressure. This pressure feels a little better, right? Because he's got all he needs. He has all the weapons. He has everything he needs to succeed. And the pressure is like, all right, you have no excuses, so now you better be productive, which I'm expecting Zach Wilson to become. VR with the $5 donation. I appreciate you, my man. Coach Beck wasn't retained. Thoughts? Hit it. Yeah, man. Coach Beck was a coach that the Jets brought in midway through the season when Zach went down with an injury. For those of you guys that don't know, Beck was or is Zach Wilson's personal trainer in the offseason. And I feel like he did a great job when he came here, because he got brought onto the Jets coaching staff not just to be an offensive coach. He was literally Zach Wilson's coach throughout the entire rest of that season. I feel like he did a great job, especially when Zach was injured, helping Zach break down film, what he needs to work on. And when Zach did return to the field, he was in Zach Wilson's mind every step of the way. So what's your thoughts about Coach Beck not being retained? I think it was more about Beck not wanting to come back and doing his own thing than the Jets not wanting to bring him back. I could be wrong, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was more Beck gets the chance to work out with Zach Wilson all offseason, and if he was retained by the Jets, he wouldn't. So I actually think there's a loophole here. I wouldn't be surprised if they rehire him right before the start of the season. But the advantage you have is that he was in the room from the second half of the year onward, and he knows exactly what Zach Wilson did well, what he struggled with, what the Jets want him to work on with Zach. So it's a huge advantage having him not be retained this offseason, because if you've been watching the videos, he's been working out with Zach a ton all offseason long, which is a great sign going forward.
Yeah, I think it was a great addition from the Jets, especially when he was down with an injury and Zach at that moment was just not playing good football outside of that Tennessee Titans game in the first part of that season. Mr. Downtone with the $2 donation. I appreciate that, my man. Great show, great draft. Now we need new uniforms. Jake, what's your thoughts about the uniforms? Do you think we need new ones, or do you like them?
Well, they're not going to change, but I've grown to like them more than I originally did, I'll say. I've grown to I like the black jersey. I see you got the Elijah Moore behind you there, Richie. I love the black, alternates they have. I would prefer the Jets to have some sort of jersey or helmet in particular where they actually get the airplane on the helmet. I'd like to see more on the helmet, make the helmet more creative with a logo with the airplane.
I agree. I think also if the Jets start winning football games, we're all going to fall in love with these jerseys, because these jerseys, all we know is losing. They got these jerseys when Adam Gase came around, and it was just bad years after bad years. I feel like if we start winning and we're a 10-plus team in the future, then we're going to be like, oh, wait, these jerseys are kind of fresh. And we're rocking those stealth black jerseys in the playoffs. Let's hope. Let me dream, okay? Please let me dream. Who's our O-line coach? It's John Benton. Do you know any updates on that, Jake? Is he obviously he's still the offensive line coach to this point. But we all know what happened with him. He got charged with the DUI. So what's your update on Benton? Do you know?
Yeah, I think he's still going to be retained. I mean, obviously, Salah spoke about it, said he made a mistake, but they loved themselves, John Benton. He did a pretty good job last year, too. This O-line got better as the year went on, learning a new zone blocking scheme. And, obviously, when Douglas made the move to bring in LDT, the line played at an above-average level from that point on the remainder of the season. So I would expect Benton to be back.
Kev says, are we following the Bills' trajectory phase? Well, everybody has their own stories to write. The Buffalo Bills story was interesting because Josh Allen was a player that did not play good football in his rookie season. Year number 2, he showed a little bit of improvement, but, he wasn't showing up like the franchise superstar quarterback like he is today. And then they went out there and get Stephon Diggs. But the biggest component to the Buffalo Bills' success, which is a big thing that I'm excited about the Jets are doing, is continuity. They had Josh Allen drafted in a system, and he was groomed in that system for 3 years straight. I cannot emphasize enough how important continuity matters in this league. You look around the rookie quarterbacks, pretty much every rookie quarterback is going into a brand new system outside of Trey Lance. Mac Jones got a new offensive coordinator, Justin Fields, Mills. So Zach Wilson is going to the same system, which is why I feel like it's a really good move for the New York Jets. So what's your thoughts about the Jets following the Bills' trajectory, or how could you compare and contrast the two?
Yeah, there's some similarities for sure. Continuity is the biggest thing that Allen had. You know, he had Brian Dable as OC every year. His quarterback coach, Ken Dorsey, was there with him throughout the course of his tenure. And they also got him players, man. They made the move for Stephon Diggs. They drafted really well. They beefed up their offensive line in free agency. So, you know, that was, to me, was the biggest thing. Like, there's multiple ways to rebuild your team. Every team wants to rebuild through the draft, but you also got to be aggressive, acquire veteran talent when it's available, use free agency to your advantage. Like, the Jets did a nice job in free agency. They didn't overspend. They didn't set the market at a new position. They brought in guys that are going to play right away. Like Laken Tomlinson's a beast. They had DJ Reed, really good player. Jordan Whitehead, really good player. That's how you build your football team, and you maintain that cap flexibility, which they still have going forward. So there's definitely some similarities between the Bills and the Jets, but there's a bunch of differences too. Like, the Jets don't have a Stephon Diggs on their team. All right, that's fine. Garrett Wilson maybe could be the homegrown version of Stephon Diggs. So we'll see how it plays out.
Very well said. Very well said. James O'Boyle, my guy, with the $5 donation, says Sauce is a beast. This team is going to be fun to watch this year. James is a good friend of mine from home. This is not a random subscriber. This is my guy, James J.O.B. I appreciate you, my man, with the $5 donation. I don't know why you continuously to send me in donations, but I appreciate you, bro. Really appreciate the support. Sauce is indeed going to be a beast. And let's talk about this real quick, Jake, and James's point saying the team is going to be fun to watch this year. I keep thinking in my head, like, for example, the Bengals were that team last year that came from last to first, and other fan bases around the league were looking at the Bengals, and they were fun to watch. So do you expect the Jets to be a team this year outside of us as a fan base, but like other fan bases looking at the Jets and saying, wow, this Jets team is fun to watch. I kind of want to watch a Jets game. I want to turn on the Jets this year because they're a fun and young, exciting team. Do you think that's possible this year?
Yeah, because look at the skill players they now have, right? I mean, Elijah Moore is a fun player to watch. Garrett Wilson is going to be a fun player to watch. Hell, Braxton Berrios is a fun player to watch with the different things that he could do, how they use him. Zach Wilson plays like Rodgers and Mahomes-esque. I'm not saying he's that guy, but there's similarities in his playing style to what those guys do outside the pocket, throwing on the run. He's an exciting player to watch, especially if he takes that leap in year two. Defensively, Sauce is going to be fun to watch. Jermaine Johnson should be fun to watch. Carl Lawson should be fun to watch. So, yeah, this team is going to be way more exciting to watch than they were last year because they have some young, exciting players that you feel good about going forward.
Yeah, I agree, man. I feel like this Jets team is on the rise. And
also,
like
Breece Hall, Richie. I got to mention Breece Hall. I mean, he's probably the best running back in the class. They got him. I mean, this guy's playing from day one. He's going to be out there making plays.
And Mr. K brings up a good question. Who's the best catching back we have? Is it Michael Carter or is it Breece Hall?
I think it's Breece Hall.
Yeah. I feel like they're both going to be great out of the passing game. I feel like Michael Carter is going to be that, running back 2, or you can say running back 1B, because he is that good of a running back. We can't just throw Michael Carter to the curb. We also have to realize that this offense is implemented with a running back by committee approach. So I want to ask your thoughts, because I know that you're extremely high on Breece Hall, Jake, as well as myself. But what's your thoughts of the role of Michael Carter going into year number 2 in this system with Breece Hall being added on?
He's still going to play a lot. He's going to get a lot of touches. I think third down, he could be out there. I mean, both guys can catch the ball really well. They're both going to be awesome. So I'm excited. I'm excited, man. I think Breece will ultimately get more touches, but they might work him in slowly. They don't need to give him the ball, 20 times a game right away. Mix and match, and there's going to be matchups that probably favor Michael Carter compared to Breece, and keep guys fresh. Robert Saleh loves to rotate defensive linemen. I think you could rotate your running backs now to make sure guys are fresh. So fourth quarter, you have a huge advantage if you're running the ball well and these guys are ready to pop and break a big game.
Now, are you ready to predict this? Breece Hall, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm pretty sure last time I checked, it was plus 1,100 of this. So would you be willing to bet at Breece Hall winning Offensive Rookie of the Year? Is this a realistic thing that Jets fans could expect?
I think it's realistic. I would put some money on it. I wouldn't, put my mortgage on it, though. I mean, we're still talking about a long shot here, but he's got a chance, man. If you're going to bet on any Jet to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, I would bet on Breece over Garrett Wilson because I think Breece is going to be the guy that can impact the team right away. Whereas Garrett Wilson, it might take him a couple games. Like Elijah Moore, as awesome as he played, about the midway through the point of the years when he really started to get going. So I would put my money on Breece Hall if I had to pick a Jet.
Thomas with a great $5 donation, a great member on the channel. Appreciate you, my man. He says, bearing injury, this team can go deep into the playoffs. Is this realistic this year? If this team stays healthy, that it's possible, right? We're not going to predict it because that's just us, being hopeful. But if this team stays healthy, on paper, do they have what it takes to not only make the playoffs, but go deep into the playoffs?
I'm going to stop there, Thomas. I love you, though, man. Look, I want this team to have a winning record. I think that'd be a hell of a year. Like, they go 9-8, and they're somehow, in the mix for that last playoff spot. Making the playoffs alone would be an incredible accomplishment. Deep into the playoffs? I mean, look, anything's possible after what the Cincinnati Bengals did last year, coming off a 4-win season, going to the Super Bowl. But I would say this. I think it's unlikely this team is going deep into the playoffs. I think we got to, maybe relax the expectations a little bit there. But I love the excitement, man. This is the time to be excited in the month of May.
Hey, why not us? My expectations for this Jets team is, we all talk about what our expectations this year, but not going to lie with you, Jake. I'm expecting this team to compete to win the division in 2 years, in 2023. Sure. I think that's a realistic thing. Zach Wilson, year number 3. Sauce Gardner, this entire draft class going into year number 2. Last year's draft class going into year number 3. I feel like that's the window where Jets fans could really think of a drastic improvement, where this year we're trying to become relevant again, playing meaningful games in December, potentially fighting for a wild card spot. But the next year, I think we could potentially be a team to win the division. And I say that with confidence. I know that the Buffalo Bills are still there, but low key, the Buffalo Bills gotta win the Super Bowl this year because their time's running out. Josh Allen's contract is about to kick in, and they're not going to be able to pay a lot of players to come back. So the Buffalo Bills, window to win the Super Bowl is shrinking. And I think that this Jets team is trending in the right direction. And yes, I am a little optimistic right now. My bias might be coming out, but I really do feel like in 2 years is a realistic option for the Jets to go deep into the playoffs rather than this year. But hey, you never know what can happen. D-Wit with the $5 donation. Appreciate you, my man. He says, hey, guys, good work. Richie, where'd you get that video of the team getting hyped? And can you post more of them team OTAs? I'm just so excited. Go Jets. Yeah, I got this from Twitter. On Twitter, the Jets posted that video, and you're talking about this one.
Mike Carter Hill,
I'll mute it. But this is the video you're talking about. The Jets sophomores going out there welcoming the Jets rookies. This is on the Jets Twitter. They also posted on Instagram, I believe. So if you want to get all this behind-the-scenes content, the Jets social media team does a fantastic job of giving us everything we want. And I'm assuming we're going to get this type of stuff today with rookie minicamp being underway. And I'll try to post more of the OTA stuff on my channel. If you guys want to see more of that, let me know. I love posting all behind-the-scenes stuff here on the channel. So guys, we are close to the end of the stream. We're going to wrap this up in about like 5 or so minutes. So get in your last questions before we wrap it up. It's always great to have Jake on the channel, my man. Always love having you on. You're doing a great job on your channel, especially balancing covering the Houston Texans and covering the Jets. Like, how is that? I'm just curious, outside of, the Jets and the Texans as a team, but how is that balancing covering the Texans, being in Houston, being on an ESPN radio show, which is awesome, and covering your hometown team?
Yeah, so it's just honestly not even just the Texans, right? It's just doing a radio show in Houston every day. So just following the Rockets and the Astros and whatever the hell is going on in Houston to be able to do a show. So the Jet stuff is like my hobby on the side, but it's been so much fun and been able to build such an audience to it that it's become like a second full-time job, which I love. So
I love that.
It's great. I try to do a Jet video a day, and then for those that follow me from the Houston show, you'll see clips from the radio show, a couple of videos from that on the channel too. So it's a nice mix.
I love that. Hennessy says, Richie, what's good with the Jets media tailgate this year? Hennessy, you're reading my mind. How'd you know that this was coming? We're going to be planning a lot of fun things on this channel, and I'm trying to get more integrated with my subscribers and like organizing events. I'll be at the home opener, that's for sure. So I'll see you guys there. But I'm trying to figure out a way to get you guys to come to a Jets game with me, and I'm going to organize a Jets media tailgate and get a whole section where you guys can come and sit with me and whoever wants to join, and we can all watch the Jets get a victory together. How about that? So stay tuned for more details on that stuff. Thomas, top 5 defense. Oh, man. What needs to happen for this to happen?
Thomas thinks they're going deep in the playoffs and they're going to have a top 5 defense, man. I want what he's smoking, but sign me up.
Just want to thank you guys for great content. I truly appreciate you guys. Kudos to you guys. Thank you, Mr. K. We appreciate you. Without you guys in the chat, none of this is possible. Jake and I will not be able to make consistent content. All the likes, subscriptions, the stuff in the live chat, the donations really means a lot to both Jake and I, and we appreciate everybody in the chat because this Jets fan base is rabid, man.
The best.
We're different. We sucked for how many years? Forever. I mean, my entire life since that 2 years in 2009, 2010. But you see around the league how much this Jets fan base is not only in New York and New Jersey, but we're all over the country. I'm sure that you've seen it on your channel, Jake. Like, how many Jets fans have you noticed from around the world tuning into your show?
Tons, man, tons. It's so cool. I mean, look, I've said this before on my show. The Jet fan base is one of the best fan bases in all of sports. Like, how loyal this fan base is, how much crap they got to deal with. I mean, hell, there are Jet fans that had to deal with Dan Marino for 20 years and then immediately dealt with Tom Brady for 20 years. So it's like the Jet fan has been beaten down, but they keep getting back up every time, and they're finally on the cusp of being a really good football team for years to come, ideally. So there's good things ahead. I truly believe that.
And then there's those older generation Jets fans, like my uncle, who's lived through what you just mentioned. And I'm texting him like, Uncle Mike, did you see what the Jets did in the draft? Oh, my God, the Jets are getting all this hype. And he's like, I don't care. I mean, I'm not going to buy into this nonsense until we see wins. Like, there's two sides of Jets fans that's seen 50 years where they heard all this stuff in the offseason and they don't want to get too excited until they start winning games. And then there's us realizing, like, no, like, we're not going to win until this stuff actually happens. We need to start winning the draft. We need to start making the right moves because in the offseason, that's what it's all about before you can win some games. So I find it funny to, talk to my uncle who's been a Jets fan for his entire life, and he's like not buying in yet. Even though he does acknowledge that the moves are great, he does not want to get too invested until they prove it. And that's true. I mean, I can't blame him, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Jet fans that would say you keep your expectations low so you can never be disappointed. So I understand. The Jets have beaten down this fan base for a long time, so I understand the cynical Jet fans that are out there. I totally get it.
Will Zach Wilson throw more touchdown passes than Patrick Mahomes this year? Bold take. I don't think so, Pat, but anything can happen. What are your thoughts, Jake?
I mean, I hope. I doubt it, but I hope.
Oh my God, that would be something. Hey, there's a chance that Zach Wilson really takes flight this year because everything is laid out for him. Everything's laid out for him. So, guys, we're going to wrap up the show now. Jake, I appreciate you tuning in because everyone loves what you're doing on your channel. You're doing such a great job with your Jets content, balancing your real full-time job with Houston sports, giving us daily streams over on your channel. So for those guys that are not familiar, Jake has a YouTube channel where he goes live every single day breaking down the latest Jets topics. So please, if you're not subscribed to Jake, that is down below in the description. And Jake, do you want to say anything before we end off the stream about what you got going on your channel or anything regarding the Jets?
Richie, you nailed it, man. I definitely got to get you back on the show now, do a little home and home, and big things in store. We've had some great guests this week, and just going to keep covering the Jets every day. We got rookie OTAs underway, rookie minicamp, and it's going to be fun, man. If you like the Jets, if you like Richie, I'm sure you're going to like the type of content I post as well. So it's always great to collaborate with one of the best. Richie, thanks so much for having me on.
Of course, Jake. Always a pleasure having you on. And as JR and the great Ron Middleton says, hit it. Hit that like button for your boy if you want to see Jake on this channel more often. We'll probably get him back on when training camp comes around in a couple of months because we got to get Jake on, does some great things. So everybody, we appreciate all the love and the support in the chat. Seems like everyone enjoyed the show and enjoyed Jake being a special guest. And yeah, that's it for this show. Stay tuned for more Jets content. Just a little preview what to expect for Jets Media. I will be starting the new series today. I don't know if it'll be uploaded today, but I'm going to record the video of my rookie profiles. If you guys have been subscribed to my channel for a while, this has been a series that I've been doing for the past 2 years. After every single draft class, I dedicate an entire video to each draft pick. I'm going to go diving deep into the strengths and the weaknesses of Sauce Gardner, into his highlight tape, what to expect from him, some pro comparisons. So expect a video on each individual draft pick coming out this week, this coming week. And yeah, I'm excited to give you guys my rookie profiles. I am excited to do it every single year. That does it for this one, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Let's go Jets, and enjoy your weekend, everybody.